I was recently accused of being an AI voice. I've been on YouTube for a long time, a very long time, so long ago that my channel is almost as old as the site itself. The accusation, which is honestly a bit of a strong word, it's just a comment on one of my older videos, I think is a sign of the times and the fact that there's not a significant amount of education surrounding how to spot when something might be AI generated and when something is too old to be AI generated. If you go to my YouTube channel and look at the primary description for it, it kind of fades out because the description is too long for the amount of text that is allowed to be shown. And the word more is there. If you click the word more, you can actually find the date that my channel was started. December 13th, 2006. The reason I bring this up is because knowing how to find metadata on the modern internet is one of the more powerful ways that you can figure out whether or not something is AI generated or not, or rather, whether or not something is young enough to be AI generated or not. The video in question that has me making this vlog was from 2016, and the comment saying that AI voice existed in 2016, I think is a sign that the commenter just doesn't know what metadata is, much less how to look for it. Beneath every single video on YouTube, if you click the description, you will get a publish date. To my knowledge, it is impossible to fake a publish date on YouTube. I'm certain that there might be a few exceptions to that rule, maybe especially involving the music industry and their ability to replace old, low-quality music videos with, say, a new high-resolution version where they digitize the physical film prints. But outside of those instances, the average user or even power user on YouTube is not capable of replacing their videos after they publish them. Therefore, the metadata that is beneath the video, specifically the timestamp, is what you should be looking at for whether or not something is too old to be AI. I feel like I've put a fine enough point on this right now, but I'm going to repeat myself in a more succinct manner. If the publish date of a video is basically before 2023, it didn't have AI in it. That's pretty much it. That's the barest bones of understanding for metadata to be able to figure out if something is fake or not fake purely based on its age. And this speaks to a larger trend of the fact that AI is encroaching in basically all of our media spaces, and trying to figure out what is real and what is fake is becoming an increasingly difficult thing to do. And whether or not that's going to, fray the edges of our society in any growing number of ways is yet to be seen. But being able to just look at a video or an image and figure out whether or not AI generated it is something that is slowly going away because the AI just keeps getting better and better, regardless of how you feel about its legitimacy. This is where metadata comes in, and it is a critical component to whether or not you can figure out whether or not something is AI. As time goes on, metadata will likely become the primary way that we can figure out whether or not something is or is not AI. With my particular situation right here, it's as simple as figuring out whether or not the content was published before AI became prevalent. Again, pre-2023. For new material, it's much more muddy, and that's where trust in the publication is going to become more important as time goes on. Basically, sources are going to be sorted into one of two columns: trustworthy sources and non-trustworthy sources. Non-trustworthy sources will publish AI-generated content specifically for getting attention. And in our attention-driven economy, that's mostly for the purpose of getting dollars. Trustworthy sources will not publish AI content, and if they ever do, they will specifically go back and flag it and say, we were wrong. And again, this is where metadata comes in. No matter if it's a trustworthy or untrustworthy source, you can follow the original content back through any sort of a pipeline using that metadata that is surrounding it to figure out where exactly it originated from, and ultimately follow the content back to its origin to figure out whether or not the original posting agent is a trustworthy or an untrustworthy source. Again, untrustworthy sources are going to publish AI content all the time, specifically to get attention. Trustworthy sources will occasionally publish AI content, and they will admit to when they do it, because that's bad for their reputation. And that's a lot of what all of this comes down to. Reputation and your capability of sleuthing information. Metadata is a term that many people probably don't really understand, but it's basically information that describes other information. A timestamp, which is an automated form of metadata that comes from YouTube in this case, is a trustworthy form of information because the system is just designed to automatically stamp a published video with the date that it was published. But metadata has existed for as long as humanity has ever existed, as far back as our written knowledge goes, because we like to put dates and times on the things that we record. One of the primary ways that historians try to figure out what exactly is true in the past is by taking multiple accounts and figuring out what is true between them. Because people also like to lie. So AI-generated content is just more of the same, but in a new and different way of telling a lie. And the trick to figuring out whether or not something is a lie is how far back you can follow it and what other truthful information is surrounding it and the reputation of the accounts that publish it. Historians exist because it's an entire skill set to try to figure out what is and isn't true and how to discover that type of information. Sleuthing information is not necessarily the easiest and fastest thing to do, but it is the way that you can find out whether or not something is reliably true. So, to that one commenter on that one video about Skyrim potion making, no, I am not AI. Never have been. And hopefully, never will be. Thanks for watching. I'm William Strife. Check out my second channel. I do live streams. Look in the description where the metadata is.